Cwestiwn nawr gan lefarwyr y pleidiau, Llefarydd Plaid Cymru, Rhun ap Iorwerth.
Diolch Llywydd. Gweinidog, mi fyddwch chi yn ymwybodol bod grŵp o sefydliadau wedi sgwennu at Brif Weinidog y Deyrnas Unedig ynglyn â mesurau warchod gweithwyr iechyd a gofal rhag y feirws. Maen nhw'n dweud bod cama i leihau trosglwyddiad o'r feirws drwy'r awyr wedi bod yn anigonol, ac maen nhw'n galw am wella safon awyru ac am newid canllawiau PPE mwyn gwarchod y gweithlu. A wnewch chi fod yn rhagweithiol wrth ymateb i'r galwadau yna, cydnabod bod yn dealltwriaeth ni o drosglwyddiad drwy'r awyr wedi newid yn fawr iawn dros y flwyddyn diwethaf, ac dyla negeseuo iechyd cyhoeddus yn ogystal â chanllawiau gwarchod staff newid i adlewyrchu hynny yn cynnwys rhoi mwy o bwyslais ar y bwysigrwydd awyr iach.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to say that in regular Welsh Government messaging, we highlight the importance of good ventilation. And that's both in not just press conferences and other events that I do, but others from the Chief Medical Officer, Deputy Chief Medical Officer, indeed the First Minister has highlighted this as well. And I know that's practically been taken on board. For example, now we have made sure that my son has an extra layer of clothing because windows in his classroom were open when he returned to school. So the message is being taken up on ventilation in a much more significant, sustained manner than, to be fair, it would have been at the start of the pandemic. When it comes to the review of the adequacy of personal protective equipment, that's a matter where we do regularly undertake reviews, and the lead for that is the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor Chris Jones. He regularly engages with other colleagues across the UK to make sure that our guidance is up to date. I understand the concerns that some people have about whether the current version of PPE is the right version of PPE, given that we have a more transmissible variant of the virus, the Kent variant, in place as the dominant variant in Wales. But the latest review showed that our current standards are appropriate, but as ever, they're always under review.
Diolch. Dwi am droi at effaith hirdymor Covid-19 rwan. Mae'n wych bod y broses frechu yn datblygu'n dda, ond mi fydd lawer wrth gwrs yn aros yn hir iawn cyn cael brechiad yn cynnwys pobl ifanc. A mae'n nhwtha yn agored i risg acute difrifol, fel dyn ni wedi weld yn y ffordd mwyaf poenus yn Ynys Môn dros y dyddiau diwetha yn sgil marwolaethau dau ŵr ifanc, Kevin Hughes a Hugh Gethin Jones, a dwi'n gwybod mod i'n siarad ar ran y Senedd i gyd wrth anfon yn cydymdeimlad at eu teuluoedd nhw heddiw. Ond di'r rheini fydd yn ddigon ffodus i beidio a datblygu salwch difrifol. Da ni'n dod i ddeall mwy a mwy o hyd am beryglon Covid hir. Rwy'n mi nes i gyfarfod yr wythnos yma efo mudiad Long Covid Wales a trafod yr angen am lawer mwy o fuddsoddiad mewn gofal Covid hir, sy'n wahanol i rehab ôl Covid. Mae eisiau gofal iechyd i ddioddefwyr long Covid. A dwi'n nodi heddiw ma'n digwydd bod na 750,000 ychwanegol wedi clusnodi yn yr Alban ar gyfer gofal Covid hir. A gawn ni ymrwymiad o fwy adnoddau gynnig y gofal yma, ac yn allweddol i sicrhau fod o ar gael ym mhob rhan o Gymru, achos ar hyn o bryd, da chi'n llawer mwy tebygol o gael unrhyw fath o ofal os da chi'n byw yn y De-ddwyrain.
This is a matter that I do take seriously, and I'll be writing imminently to the Health Committee in response to the Chair's letter on behalf of the Committee on Long Covid with a series of questions within that. So we'll set out what we are doing, the work we are undertaking on the long COVID pathway that we've agreed as well. And I think it's really important to understand when we talk about long COVID, we're talking about a variety of impacts, because this is not a commonly experienced condition in the sense that the symptoms may vary. You may have people who have never been to a hospital, but have never fully recovered and have recurrent symptoms that have an impact on their day-to-day activities. You may also have people with much more significant impact. There may be people with different organ damage with longer term consequences as well. So we're looking to have an approach that takes account of the different impact for different people and recognises that this will require a multidisciplinary approach. It's part of the reason why we've worked with colleagues in primary care as well as secondary care in understanding how to put together the pathway and to make sure that primary care colleagues are equipped to refer people into the appropriate part of that pathway as well. And that will be really important for the future, because the honest truth is that today we don't have enough understanding to set out a definitive treatment pathway that will do for everything and anything in the future. We will continue to learn, which is why we continue to invest in research around long COVID. And it's why that whatever happens on the first Thursday in May, the next government will continue to need to reassess the state of our knowledge and our understanding, and will again need to return to the current path we have in place to make sure it's still appropriate and to understand as further advances in care and treatment are provided. So this is a moving picture, but one that we're committed to return to, because I recognise this is going to be one of the longer term impacts of COVID, a success story that so many people have recovered, but the nature of that recovery will be varying, and there will be recurrent episodes for a number of people.
Mae'n dal ddiffyg dealltwriaeth, dwi'n meddwl, o ba mor galed mae Covid yn gallu taro pobl. Hyd yn oed os di pobl ddim yn gorfod mynd i'r ysbyty, mae'n gallu cymryd wythnosa lawer i rei pobl dod dros symptoma cychwynnol. Dwi wedi clywed am un ddynas yn benodol yn cael ei bygwth efo cama disgyblu gan ei chyflogwr. Oni bai i bod hi nôl yn y gwaith o fewn pythefnos. Mae hi'n digwydd bod yn well erbyn hyn, ond mi gymrodd fis iddi. Mae'r rhan fwyaf o gyflogwyr yn bod yn gyfrifol, ond efo bob math o straeon i'w clywed am weithwyr yn cael cais i ddefnyddio gwyliau blynyddol i hunan ynysu neu anwybyddu cais i hunan ynysu yn llwyr, a newch chi fod yn gwbl gadarn ar y mater hwn, a gwthio am gama erlyn os oes angen, alla fod mor ddifrifol a corporate manslaughter hyd yn oed yn yr achosion mwyaf difrifol, os oes yna dystiolaeth glir bod cyflogwyr neu eraill yn gweithredu mewn ffordd sydd yn cyfrannu at ledaeniad y feirws.
Well, there are two distinct points there. The first is that ministers don't make prosecution decisions. There's a clear separation of powers, and it's probably a good thing for everyone that as the health minister, I'm not in a position to direct the criminal justice services to undertake prosecutions or not. However, when it comes to the law and our expectations, we do work alongside the Health and Safety Executive, a reserve body, but we're very clear about what the requirements of the law are in place here in Wales, and what that means in terms of businesses that are not compliant in following those rules, whether it's retail or other activities as well. So the guidance we issue has a real bearing on making sure that workplaces are safe workplaces with an infectious condition that is in widespread circulation still around the country. And I think that's the point the member's really driving about making sure there's a clear message from the government about expected standards of behaviour from employers, and not to hesitate in supporting action that is taken, whether it's by environmental health organisations, trading standards, or indeed non-devolved areas to ensure that workers are kept safe. We have these conversations on a regular basis, not just in the social partnership, but also in the National Health and Safety Forum that's being created as well. So we are, I think, being very clear about our expectations for employers about how they need to keep their business safe and secure, to keep their workers and their customers safe and secure. And we'll need to return to this again as our evidence and knowledge and understanding of COVID changes in the future. And I hope that as we do recover and get out of the pandemic crisis, then we'll make sure there isn't a dropping of the guard when it comes to this, because I also wouldn't want to see employers taking precipitate action against people who in my former life I would have potentially been taking discrimination action for, if these are people with a material impact on their day-to-day activities with a recurring condition. And that seems to me to describe a great deal of what long COVID actually means for people who have the condition and the likelihood of a future occurrence. I hope that all employers are taking a much more considerate approach, because these are matters where our understanding will continue to develop. We want people to return to work and contribute to the future of our economy.